Quiet murmurs filled the halls of the Forgotten Temple. Tessie felt her way along the dank corridors, wincing as her fingertips scraped against the rough stone. The blackness pressed against her like a living thing. As she progressed deeper into the cold heart of the ancient monolith, the whispers grew louder until the stone idols and altars fairly shook from the roar. She didn't dare press her hands to her ears, lest she lose her bearings in the maze of tunnels and traps that engulfed her. She drew a deep, shuddering breath, a vain and ineffective attempt to steady her pounding heart. She didn't know what awaited her, but she knew it wasn't good. Hi, I'm Sydney Ronan, and this is the beginning of one of the stories I have written. As an author, I play around with multiple stories at the same time, deciding what fits better where. For me, self-discipline is key. Since I don't work a normal 8-to-5 job, I have to decide my own schedule. I can't lay around all day just because I don't feel like working. Most people think that all a writer does is sit alone in a dark corner with their computer. At least I know I did. But I found it to be quite the opposite. I have quite a few responsibilities. My first one is to my readers. I keep them informed of new changes, respond when they contact me, and go to various events such as meet and greets or book signings. I also try to stay in touch with my editor and publisher on a near daily basis. Over the past couple of weeks, I have taken job skill surveys, and they give me lists such as becoming a casting director or acting instructor. They seem to think I should go to Hollywood. That is not in my plans. In addition to the career lists, I was also given the top 2 career clusters I belonged in. My first was arts, AV technology, and communications. My second, law, public safety, corrections, and security. It's really not surprising that my top 3 career choices were within my career clusters. My first, of course, was author. That's kind of a no-brainer. My second, lawyer, and my third, actress. Since being a lawyer was my second choice, it is also my opportunity cost. An opportunity cost is the next best option we have when making a decision. It had been hard to choose careers, but finally writer won out. When I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to be, there were quite a few pros and cons I had to think through. I love writing. It lets the characters and storylines that are trapped in my brain loose. Becoming a published author has been my dream since 5th grade, when I started my first book. I never did finish that, but that's a story for another time. Also, being an author lets me become well-known amongst other authors and readers alike. This career choice is not without its downsides, though. I'm taking a huge gamble whenever I publish a book, because I'm spending money to publish when I don't know if I'm going to get money back. I don't know if they'll like my work. Also, starting out, I don't earn much money, and it makes living expenses extremely difficult to manage, as well as the fact that I'm relying on complete strangers as my source of income. That's a scary thought. Despite these hindrances, I've made myself a promise that I won't let these challenges keep me from my dream. As I said before, I don't earn much money. Before taxes, my annual salary is $28,000, leaving me with $2,333.33 a month. As I looked at my actual budget, I compared my parent and student estimates with it. I found my parent estimate tended to be much higher than it needed to be, and my student estimate much lower. As I studied my pie chart, I was surprised to know that both taxes and transportation take up 21% of what I earn. My housing is 16%, my food 13%, and my college loans 11%. Discretionary covers 8%, and toiletries 1%. My utilities are paid for by my landlord, and my phone by my parents. With such a small salary, I constantly have to make trade-offs. I live in Kansas City, but I don't use the public transportation because I had to make cuts in my budget. When I did that, though, I remembered I'll have to run errands, such as to the grocery store, as well as meeting with publishers and editors. When I realized that, I took money out of food to put to buying a car. Though the fact of the matter is that made my food much lower than I could live off of, so I had to take most of the money out of entertainment and put it in my food. All financials aside, I want to make my mark in this world. And the way I chose to do that is by writing and sending books overseas to schools that cannot afford them. Another author, Jane Kurtz, does this as well, but she writes books for young children, and it got me thinking, what happens when they outgrow the books? They'll have nothing to read. So I talked the problem over with my parents, and my dad suggested that writing books that as the character grows, so does the reading difficulty. So when the character is a child, they would be in picture books or the I Can Read books. As the character grows into a teen and young adult, they would be in teen and young adult books. In order to achieve this goal, though, I needed to improve my writing. There were many ways I could do that, but I chose to go to college. I did a college search and found Friends University had everything I needed. And although it was a little more expensive than I had hoped, my parents had been saving money since I was a child, and I was able to bring my school loans down immensely. Before I enrolled, I did research and found that psychology was needed in my job. It surprised me because I couldn't figure out why would I need that. I'm going to be dealing with fictional characters all the time, not real people. But one author explained it like this. In order to write realistic characters, you need to learn how actual people think. Although I didn't technically need a degree, I graduated Friends University with a bachelor's in English. To get all this information, I had to do a lot of research. I used at least 5 websites, 2 of which were authors, Jennifer A. Nielsen and Lee Bardugo. With Jennifer A. Nielsen's website is where I got my first article. Career Cruising was the main site I used. It was where I got my career clusters and where I decided my career choices. In addition to those, I used Career One Stop and Federal Student Aid to find out more about what a writer does. I also used a website about C.S. Lewis for my second article. As I read the various articles featured on the websites and clicked the tabs, I learned much about what a writer does and how to make my dream my reality. One quote I found that I think sums up writing for me is, "To write means more than putting pretty words on a page. The act of writing is to share part of your soul with the world." The source of this quote is unknown. I'm sure we all at one time or another have been reading a book or story and just stopped for a moment because of how it relates to us or someone we know. I, for one, have used book references many times to help either myself or a friend. When I tell people I want to become a writer, they oftentimes look at me like I'm crazy, or go, "Why? Who would want to do that?" It is simply this. For me, words are like magic. You never know what picture they'll paint, what twist they'll take, what life they'll change. They are so completely and totally unpredictable, you never know where you'll go. I secretly laugh inside when someone says, "Who would want to become an author?" Because my thinking is, who wouldn't? Thank you.